Hello magical souls, welcome back. For those who are new to my channel, my name is Lydia and I am the Witch of Multirealms. I have just gotten back from my holiday in Europe and for the past, I believe it's 4 videos that you guys have seen in the month of July. Those were pre-filmed and pre-uploaded. So now I'm back and I'm trying to get into the hang of doing my first video since I'm back, and already I'm feeling a little rusty, so bear with me if I sound weird again. Anyways, I thought, okay, let's start with a topic today on something that is easy to grasp, easy to understand, many people are going through. So why not let's talk about the 5 most common surefire signs that shows that you're going through a spiritual awakening journey, or also commonly known as a life transformation. So many of us at the different phases of our lives could be in the beginning of this spiritual awakening journey, or beginning of not the first but could be the second or the third spiritual awakening journey, because there's a few, mind you. And for those who literally are going through their very first, of course, this is something so new that you do not know or could see the sign of what's coming and what you're going through, which is why I want to talk about it today, because it has to be very transformational. It will affect you on a day-to-day basis, and of course, we are all talking about wanting to navigate this, going through it with as much grace, as much kindness to ourselves and our surroundings as much as we can. So one of the first signs to show that you are definitely going through the beginning of a spiritual awakening journey is you start to see a shift in your perception. So what does that look like? Things that you once knew to be like an absolute truth to you might not be so much the same as before. For example, you might catch yourself doubting yourself in what you used to think was an absolute truth. It could be anything from the way you perceive a certain subject that you once knew when you were a child, something that was taught to you by your parents, something that was shared between you and your best friends and your peers and your siblings. Or it could be something such as a core religious belief that you had since birth, since you were young. And then once you step into this shift in perspective, you might catch yourself doubting yourself. And it's not a comfortable feeling, mind you. When a person is deeply rooted in a certain set of beliefs or truths, and then to suddenly one day felt shaken up from the inside and second guessing themselves. This kind of feeling is clearly extremely uncomfortable. And when I say uncomfortable, it is not even from a place of like somebody is creating that doubt in you. This shift happens when your spirit, your spiritual team, speaks to you in different ways. It could be through signs or synchronicities, or through a certain pattern or process, and then you get nudged into this very subliminal space of realizing you are doubting yourself. Like nobody is literally pointing things in your face and say, look at this is not what it is. It's not so much like that. But this happens on a very subliminal, subconscious level whereby you doubt yourself. And that's why it's so uncomfortable, because it is that gray zone. It is in that subconscious zone. And why is it happening in a subconscious zone? Because the shift is happening within you. This is your spiritual awakening. It's not someone else's spiritual awakening. The whole idea of you going through it within yourself on a very subconscious level is so that you get to go through, well, literally the tidal waves of emotions, to process it and the different thought processes so that you can rationalize within yourself and your soul on what actually do you believe in. So this shift in perspective is quite probably the first thing that occurs in any spiritual awakening or life transformation journey. Now that leads us to the second part, which is you start to have an increase of self-awareness. And this happens in so many different, like just in the increase of self-awareness, there are so many different segments and stages. First, you become self-aware. You become self-aware that you're talking to yourself more, that you are doubting yourself more, you're second-guessing yourself more. And this doubting and second-guessing yourself is not so much as doubting and second-guessing your abilities in things. It could be, but it sometimes is more likely than not you second-guessing your beliefs, which is what I was talking about in the first round. And because of you having that level of awareness, and you no longer are so deeply entrenched or deeply rooted in a blind set of beliefs, you question it, you turn it in both sides, like, looking at both sides of the coin, you start to have that inner conversation and introspection on how things could be done in your perspective or someone else's perspective. You start to have that extra layer of empathy in the way you approach people and subject matters, or like any form of conflict. You start to become more conscious. You start to become on such a conscious level that you know that your actions, your words, your thoughts has an effect. So in other words, you're no longer blindly doing things or blindly reacting to situations. So there is that level of self-awareness, which means within self-awareness, you then start to ask, if you have elevated to the next level of self-awareness, you then start to ask yourself, why is it that you are able to see things a certain way and perceive it from, let's just say, more wisdom? Why is it that some other people cannot? Right? So once you get into that space of questioning why you have that consciousness and other people or some other persons that you are with do not possess that consciousness, this level of spiritual ego kicks in. Or it's a form of conscious ego. And this is part of the process, so don't take me wrongly and don't feel upset about yourself if you remember yourself having this conscious ego or spiritual ego. And I say it because I went through quite a few bouts of it myself. It is, I guess the only way I can put it is it comes. It comes because you are starting to see things from almost as though you're seeing your life and how you react to things and how other people behave and react to things as though you're watching a reality TV program. You now watch yourself, right? And you watch the world go by and does its things. And you then have an opinion. Then you have like this consciousness whereby you realize certain things are done wrongly, including you catch yourself, and then you catch others in the way they have done things and like, oh, this is wrong, that is wrong, that shouldn't be done this way, this shouldn't be done this way. Why is this person so and so like this, like that? And why is it that you can be better and why they can't be better? There is that thing going on. So you start to have this layer of spiritual ego and opinionation upon yourself and other people. That is a very harsh time. This section of self-awareness is a very, very harsh period that can be extremely long and drawn out if you do not learn how to catch the pattern and catch yourself. Which, if you remember in my earlier episode where I talk about Dark Night of the Soul, this very much is every part of that Dark Night of the Soul, because there is a lot of day-to-day conflict that you have with yourself. Like, you want to be better, but at the same time you realize in the process of trying to be better, you can't help but opinionate against other people's behavior. And then you realize, oh, that's not actually the right or conscious thing to do. And then you constantly bounce back and forth between those feelings. So I'm sharing this to help anybody who's going through it or has gone through it process this. So in words and steps, that I hope that this makes it a bit clearer for whoever can resonate with what I say. And again, I gone through a few rounds of this because spiritual awakening comes and goes depending on the I actually just said this to someone yesterday, so I'm going to say this right now. It's like Pokemon upgrades. I don't know who's a Pokemon fan here, but if you play Pokemon, you know that some Pokemon can upgrade, I don't know what, 5, 6 or 7 times. And then every time they upgrade, there might be some physical features that changes, or also some character traits and some powers that changes or comes and goes. And then in this change, the Pokemon behaves differently, or might socialize or not socialize differently. Anyways, so I hope not to sidetrack. I just want to say it's a little bit like a Pokemon upgrade when it comes to spiritual awakening. You get quite a few bouts of it, and yeah. Now, the next phase is once you consciously have these thoughts of wanting to improve and then seeing the world around you and hoping that the world around you will improve, you can't help but feel restless and dissatisfied. So there is a constant feeling of shifting from moment to moment. It could be every day. Every new day is a new moment. It could be every other hour, depending on how intense this is and depending on whether you regulate your emotions. And self-care is very important at this point. So you have lots of moments of restlessness and dissatisfaction. And why is the reason? Because you want to improve. You simply want to improve. You want to be better. You're not happy with the status quo. It could be anything from you wanting to shake out of your current day-to-day routine that is the basis of why you're not even satisfied with your life. It could be a certain kind of behavior or habit or addiction that you might have that you are very conscious of right now and you want to quit it, but it's difficult, right? So there is always this bouncing back and forth, but yet you keep catching yourself wanting to get better. So it's like one day you will want to be better, the next day you go back to it, and then the next 2 or 3 days you want to be better again. So there's this constant feeling of dissatisfaction and wanting to break out of the norm or status quo. So you feel yourself to be very restless. And at the same time, because you are so restless with the constant shifts, I liken this to a soft shell crab, like a crab shedding. Actually, this is an imagery that's painted in the tarot deck as the moon card. Not all tarot decks show the crab in the moon card, but it pretty much is the symbology of it, which is in the change of the moon phase, usually is when a crab sheds the old shell. And in the process of shedding this old shell, the crab is hardly protected because it only has a soft shell. And during that period when it's in the shift and change of old shell to new shell, the soft shell, not only does it not protect the crab, it generally leaves the crab in a very vulnerable state. So that's probably how you would feel if you're going through the thick of this life transformation and spiritual awakening journey. You will constantly feel like a soft shell crab where a little bit of jab or probe from somebody that might not be saying the right thing or behaving the right way around you might cause you to be extra vulnerable and sensitive, might even trigger you. And then what makes it worse is that if it triggers you and then you get triggered, let's say, and then you behave, let's say, in a very emotional manner, you might be projecting certain kind of fears or traumas on somebody, and then you catch yourself later, because you're conscious now somewhat, you catch yourself later wanting to not happy with the fact that you did not catch yourself earlier. So that comes the part where you get upset with yourself. So as you can see how much of a roller coaster ride this is, right? You are constantly bouncing between step 1, step 2, step 3, like the shift in perspective, the increase in self-awareness, and then you are restless, you want to get better, and then no, you don't get better because you are vulnerable, and then you repeat the cycle of becoming overconscious and self-awareness again. So these are, if you truly are going through this right now, hang in there. Hang in there. I'm going to tell you in a bit how to make all this a little bit better, but hang in there. I want you to know that it's extremely normal. A lot of people, whether it's their first time going through a spiritual awakening journey or whether it's their third time, will miss a step somewhere along the way, because none of us are perfect. No matter how well practiced we are, it's just that practicing and knowing makes it a more gentle and graceful process for yourself. Okay, so here comes the next step, which is sad but true. You will start to notice a change in your social circle and in the relationships you have with people around you. And this could go so far as to changing the relationship you have with your extreme loved ones, like your own parents, your siblings, your best friends, people whom you've known since childhood, or even the actual partner that you have now who might have been with you for a long time, like you guys could be childhood sweethearts, known each other since college, or early 20s, and then you've been together for more than 10 years, and suddenly things could change. Because why? Your perspective of life, of how things should be, of certain core beliefs have changed. You don't think like you used to. You don't feel like you used to. Quite simply put, from the perspective of an external party, they could say something as broad stroke as so and so is a different person now. Like they could look at you and say, you're a different person now. I don't know you anymore. Okay? And again, that sounds sad, it sounds hurtful, but you know deep within yourself what's going on. Not that you don't love them, not that you don't care for them anymore, but somehow something in you changed to shift your perspective. You see things differently now. You know and understand the world or certain truths or non-truths to be a different way now. And if that does not align with what these people around you believe in, like let's say they are still deeply entrenched in those beliefs and understanding and way of doing things, and you cannot flow with that anymore, then of course you are like literally, I would say, okay, not literally, metaphorically jumping out of your skin to remove yourself from this situation or relationship, which is why you see that there is a huge change in your environment in terms of your social circle and relationships. Like I said, it could be something as mild as you not really wanting to hang out with certain friends anymore. You just don't vibe with them anymore, the commonly put term, I don't vibe with them anymore. Or it could be something as extreme as you coming to realize that a certain person in your life is so toxic, or their behavior could be so toxic that you don't agree with it anymore, or that their behavior triggers you in a way that is extremely unhealthy for you. Then you literally drop out of their life, or you cut them out of your life. And these people could be your immediate family members or your partners. So those are extreme situations. But I'm not going to rule out that there are many, many cases in life and surrounding us of people having to go through that. So if you're going through this as well, know that you're not alone. It's a very tough process. This is usually the point where a lot of therapy is required. You need like a mentor or a counselor with you to hold your hand through the process, because when it comes to relationships, That's usually the hardest part because our heartstrings are literally tied to this. It's extremely difficult to come to terms to realize why you also have this tremendous shift inside you that makes you just want to disassociate with some individuals, you know? And sometimes it's not really wanting to disassociate with certain individuals, but like we might go to second resort, which is I want to change that person. And of course, changing people, if you see it from the fact that you are the one going through, again, I say this, you're the one going through the life transformation period in your life right now. Your life and their life is all separate entities, separate lives. Everyone goes through their own journey at different pace because all souls are unique and develop at different pace. Nobody can be a cookie cutter version of you when it comes to the way our souls evolve or learn or not learn in this lifetime. Everybody has a free will, so you cannot impose upon, you can try. Of course, everybody wants to try to improve and help share wisdom with people in our lives. Of course, we always want to. But you have to understand that you cannot impose upon or force upon somebody to learn and change and evolve at the same rate and pace as you. Which brings me to, this is usually a very painful subject, especially when it involves extremely close and dear ones like your own parents, siblings, or partners. Or best friends, right? Because best friends, if we're talking about somebody who's your age, it might be really tough for some people to realize, hey, why is it that I am 40 years old, I am doing so and so and so to improve my life, but why is it my pal who's 40 years old is not doing the same thing? You know, that sort of stuff. But again, please understand, not everyone has a soul evolution and journey that is the same as yours. More often than not, different. So yes, if you're going through this, you understand. Changes in relationship is one of the sure things to go through and painful part of the process. But it is for the better, because then now we go into the final, not final, but one of the, okay, I don't want to say final because I don't want to give you false hope. It is still gonna go on. The learning never stops, okay? But yes, it is one of the last few steps of one segment of spiritual awakening, which is new opportunities will come knocking on your door, new challenges will present itself, but in a good way. So I'll give you an example. If you've been working in one job since you graduate and that job's been treating you well, you've been making good income and job promotions, and although there are some not so savory characters in the company, but you put up with it, you know. Let's say you've been in the company for 6 or 7 years now. You're pretty comfortable. But suddenly there are things that's going through in the company that actually all along, there are things going through in the company that you don't quite agree with, but you just let it be, you know, because come on, you're a junior, you started, why would you care to change much of that stuff? You're earning good money anyway, right? So you're materially satisfied, you're abundant, at least that's what you think. And then you realize towards, let's say you're 6 or 7 years in the company, then you realize this sudden shift in your perspective, like, hey, I can't really roll with this anymore. There's something dodgy going on. There's something I'm not too fond of, or some characters in a company that's really having such a toxic behavior that you see it right in your face and you cannot ignore it anymore, but yet you can't do anything about it. So what does that mean for you? It means you need to find a way to remove yourself from that situation in order to aspire towards greater heights. Now, the challenge is you're going to have to quit this job, your very comfortable, well-paying job, and then you're going to have to maybe it's not good employment market right now, perhaps, and then you might fear not being able to get something equivalently good or better, or heck, even meet the minimum, things like that. So you're getting shaken up. But trust that this is a new opportunity and challenge presenting itself to you. This kind of moments are meant to find a way for you to upgrade yourself into the next stage of your life where something better is on the other side of the door. Whenever this happens to me, I'll share my personal experience. So honestly, I stopped counting. I don't know how many levels of awakening I've gone through, because I find that the more of course, if I become overly conscious and count it does not serve the purpose. I have come to a point in my life where one of the wisest things I feel I'm taking away from my spiritual team is flow, which I think whoever tunes into my Instagram might hear me saying this a lot. Flowing is how I manifest, which I will bring up in a video very soon. I want to talk about the dynamics of manifesting and flowing towards your dream reality. But before I digress, I want to talk about myself. I've gone through the different, I would say, quite a few stages of spiritual awakening, quite a few rounds, and every round I go through, I just find that it gets easier and easier, and I'm able to spot the patterns of what I've just mentioned here, the 5 different surefire signs. I'm able to spot the patterns, and when they do come to me, of course, in the beginning, it's very difficult. It feels extremely painful. I always have that, oh, not again kind of feeling. But why? I constantly question the reasons why why they are going through the way they are. I think one of the most painful things is not being able to come to terms that people can't change and situations can't change. So when things cannot change, clearly out of our power, when things and people can't change, what can be changed, however, is you. And I don't mean you change as in you change to fit to them. That would probably be the thing you used to do. That's why you're no longer happy now. It's more like now you change from being extremely easy to agree with the status quo. You now change to understanding your truth, accepting the authenticity that you want to be in, that is your truth, and sticking with it. Being steadfast and honest and honoring yourself and your soul for what is your truth and sticking with it. So that, I would say, is the change that you purposefully go through for yourself. And then everything else that happens around you because of that change, you just let it come, flow, let it go. I think that is my method. That is my modus operandi for how to go through with spiritual awakening and life transformation. And this, for those who are savvy with tarot, it is like receiving the Tower card and then the Temperance card, then the Wheel of Fortune card, and the Fool card, and then all the aces will come. Okay, I'm gonna put in the screen these cards and the images so that maybe it can create a little bit more relevance. But what I'm trying to say is the cosmos speak to us in its own way when it wants us to transform and upgrade and evolve. And these are the 5 most common signs that I've just pointed out. So I hope that by sharing this with you, it would help you understand better if you're going through it, halfway through it, coming to the end of it, or whatever phase you're at. I hope this is relevant. You can find resonance with what I am saying here and find some level of peace and comfort in knowing that going through these is for the greater good of your soul, and you're not alone. So once again, thank you for your time. Before I leave today's episode, please follow, subscribe, and share this video. And I hope to see you soon in the next one. Bye!